Hey everybody, video number 4. You girls doing the damn thing. Look at me, video 4. Here I come. Today's video is going to be what I read in the first half of August. Now, I technically filmed this video already. I mentioned this in the second video that I made about what I wanted to read, that I felt a little self-conscious about how I described the books the first time, so buckle up because I'm ready now. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to be talking about the books that I read at the beginning of the month of August. I read a total of 9 books. 4 of them were graphic novels, 2 were audiobooks, and 3 were regular books. 2 were physical copies and 1 was an ebook. And honestly, I really liked the vast majority of the books that I read at the beginning of the month. I enjoyed my graphic novels. We shall see if I figure out / my husband helps me figure out how to put like an image of it here, because I listened to and read these books on the Hoopla app, so I don't have a physical copy. If you don't see it, I failed, forgive me. But with that being said, the first graphic novel that I read was The Marked, Fresh Ink by David Hine. This was interesting. I won't say that it was my favorite, but I did enjoy it for the most part. The Marked is about people who can channel their magic through tattoos, and many years ago they used this magic to defend the world, and someone made the ultimate sacrifice, and since then there really hasn't been a reason for anyone from this secret order to have to use the magic for defense. So a lot of the people that we meet in the beginning are kind of like influencers, so to speak. Tattoos, even though they still have magic in them, are more like aesthetically pleasing. So pretty much everyone you meet doesn't have the young people don't have the ability to like defend themselves with them, and that's okay. But now there's a new danger, obviously, of course, and the government wants to figure out what's going on. There is somebody in the order who has learned how to manipulate the tattoos, and chaos ensues. I didn't hate it, like I said, but this was interesting. 2 things I didn't like about it is that the illustrating was not my favorite. I'm gonna speak for myself, but I feel like a lot of people would agree. Like the first season of Sailor Moon Crystal, when they decided, for whatever reason, let's make the transformation scenes different. Let's do CGI. I don't think anybody liked that. And that's essentially how this entire graphic novel is illustrated. So not my favorite, but it was okay. And the second thing that I didn't really like was that there's a Nazi possession from like a magic article or something. Like, technically, like I get it because we do kind of see that, but I thought, oh God, here we go. So I don't know, I guess I would say like 3 out of 5, maybe 2.5 out of 5. Would I read the second volume? Probably, but I'm not really sure where we're gonna go from here. Like the way the graphic novel ended wasn't terrible. Obviously it set it up for a second volume, but I'm not totally interested in it, if I'm being honest. The second graphic novel I read was The Backstagers, The Show Must Go On. This is actually a really cool series. This is the second volume in the series, and it's basically about Jory. He gets transferred to an all-boys school, and he's like, you know, I'm alone, I don't know anybody, I'm different. He ends up in the auditorium with the theater kids, but the people that embrace him the most are the stage crew. And it's all about friendship, adventure, and magic, because there is a magical dimension in one of the dressing rooms, basically. Yeah, basically. And the second volume is They are trying to put on this really great performance, but one of the actors goes missing. And they have to figure out what the hell is going on with the disappearance, but also what's going on with the backstages. Basically, there's more than one, and they're all kind of converging into a chaotic mess, so we have to discover what's going on. And honestly, I really liked it. I would definitely recommend Backstagers. I pretty sure I rated that like 4 out of 5 stars. And the last 2 graphic novels I read were The Tea Dragon Society and The Tea Dragon Festival by Katie O'Neill. 5 out of 5. Most people who've read this, honestly, I think would agree that it's a very beautiful story. The first one follows Greta and her introduction into Tea Dragon Society. She stumbles upon an actual tea dragon, and these tea dragons are little cute dragons that produce tea leaves. And it's just so cute. Like, if you want something that's cute, read this. You will not be disappointed. And then the Tea Dragon Festival follows Rin, who meets an actual dragon. And then you kind of find out that obviously dragons are real. And then tea dragons are kind of like the cousin of a dragon. It's very cute. Like I said, 5 out of 5 stars. Would definitely recommend. The illustrations are beautiful. The story is really beautiful. There's a lot of fabulous representation in it, and I would definitely recommend. The next 2 books were audiobooks that I listened to. The first one was We're Gonna Need More Wine by Gabrielle Union, and the second one was All Boys Aren't Blue by George M. Johnson. I definitely recommend listening to these on audiobook if you can. They're both narrated by the author. Great experience, great listening experience. 5 out of 5. I don't know if I already said that, but 5 out of 5 for sure. So I will start off by saying, trigger warning, if you've never listened to an interview that Gabrielle Union has done, in this book she does discuss a sexual assault that occurred when she was in her early 20s, I believe. I don't remember what chapter of the book this was, but you'll know that it's coming when she starts talking about her time working at Payless. And same thing for All Boys Aren't Blue. You hear a story that he experiences some abuse, some assault when he was younger, and that is towards the end of the book. So just keep that in mind if you go to read or listen to this. Like I said, both 5 out of 5. I love Gabrielle Union. I thought her memoir was amazing. There's so much stuff I didn't know about Gabrielle Union. I actually had no idea that she was married before. So it was interesting learning about her relationship before and how she lived at that time with this person and how she dealt with that relationship. Some of the more sadder things, besides the obvious, like I already mentioned, was the relationship between her parents. That was kind of sad to listen to, but overall, an amazing memoir. Super duper duper good. And then All Boys Aren't Blue. This is by George M. Johnson. This is about him describing his life, feeling like he was different, but not having the language to express or even understand how he was different. He's talking about being a young Black gay man, how he kind of dealt with the toxic masculinity early on in ways that kind of stopped him from doing things that he wanted to do, because people were, even from that age, putting him in a box and trying to define him because of the way he said this or acted this way, or you are into double dutch. What does that say about you as a Black boy? And honestly, again, this is another one that I would recommend listening to. When you are listening to this audiobook, it's almost like you're sitting across the table from George and really with a friend listening to their life experiences, because it's not just, oh, and this happened. Not a great time. It's him really going deep into what he was thinking at the time, what he was feeling, which obviously a lot of memoirs do that, but I do think that he took particular care to really go in depth about what he was going through, like, mentally. And All right, I thought that was really great. And if it seems like the angle's weird, that's because I accidentally kicked the tripod, so forgive me. Anyway, so the next 3 books I read are the ones that were the physical copies. I'm gonna talk about Meet Cute Club by Jack Harbin first. I loved that book. It was just so perfect. I rated it 5 out of 5. I loved the relationship between Jordan and Rex. I thought that the books, for me, the pacing was really nice. I noticed that some people felt like it was too short. And I mean, it definitely was shorter than most of the books that I did read or have read that are romance, but I loved the pacing of it. I loved their relationship. I loved the ending a lot. Jordan is definitely one of my favorite characters, not just because he is the one that has the book club, but because his personality just is lovely. I love his relationship with his grandmother. I think that he is a good friend. He's obviously very caring. He definitely goes above and beyond. I couldn't believe he spent so much money for books for other people. I mean, I know I just did a video of the books that I bought, but if I had a book club, I don't know if I would be buying everybody else a damn book, but who knows? So definitely recommend that book. I would definitely read it if I were you. So the next book I read, which I can actually show you with my hand, is The Matchmakers List by Sonia Lally. Another book I really liked. This was another 5 out of 5 for me. I loved the character Raina. She made a lot of bad decisions and she made a lot of mistakes that pissed me off, but you always knew that she was really desperately trying to make things okay. So Raina had a very terrible breakup a few years ago, and her best friend and her grandmother were there for her, but felt like, okay, you got to get out of this funk. Okay, get over it. Not really get over it. Well, her friend was like, get over it. But her grandma, in an attempt to, I guess, help, I mean, in her opinion, she feels like that she was helping, made a deal with Raina that was like, look, if you're not married by the time you're 30, how about I make a list and I arrange a marriage for you? And at the time, Raina says yes. Bad idea. Bad idea. But she's a good sport and she goes through the list and she hates everyone. What a surprise. I don't even think I'm spoiling that for you because I think we could all know, like, she's probably gonna hate the list her grandma makes. And I felt bad for Raina, not because she's single and she's almost 30, but because she wants to be in love. She thought that's what she had in this past relationship. And she realized she was with someone who was completely emotionally unavailable and a prick. I hate Dev. When you read about Dev, you will hate him too. But she just wants real love, and she knows that there's more to her than just wife and mother. Can that be a part of her? Absolutely. Everyone is entitled to want to be a wife and mother, but she is kind of made to feel like all of the things that she's really interested in and has loved and wanted to do, and it's time to get married. Like, that's the end all be all. So I felt deeply sorry for her because you know that her grandma means well, but she also doesn't quite understand that Raina doesn't want to just pick somebody off of the list and make it work. She wants to find someone who truly loves her. And the other part of this book that I felt extremely sad for Raina was the relationship between Raina's mother and Raina's grandmother. So the mother and her mother's mother is so toxic, and they don't even see how they've put Raina in the middle of this and how they've basically kind of used her against the other. And how could she have a healthy relationship when she doesn't have one to see? And technically, does she have her grandparents? They had a lovely marriage, yes, but when you are in this place where your own mother and her mother don't get along, and it was just very toxic and sad. But in the end, I really liked the ending, and I definitely would recommend this book. I do think it was a little bit it had a slow burn, I guess you could say, but I enjoyed that, and I really liked seeing where Raina finally goes, like where she finally gets to. And the last book I read in the month of August was Luster by Raven Leilani. I would rate this 4 out of 5. I enjoyed this book, and at the end of it, I felt kind of sad because I don't end up knowing what happens to the main character, Edie. And that's pretty common in like adult literary fiction. It's just kind of like, this is everyday life. It's not set up in a way like the Matchmakers List, where you are going to have a climax and a conclusion, and it's not necessarily wrapped up in a pink bow, but it's wrapped up. It doesn't quote unquote wrap up in a book like this, which I didn't dislike, but I was left feeling like, oh man, I really do want to know what's going to happen to these characters. But essentially, this is following 4 people, including the main character, Edie, but everything's told through Edie's perspective. She is a young 23 or 24-year-old Black woman living in New York, and she has gotten into in my opinion, I would say a situationship with a married man. And you are following her navigating this situationship, also seeing her personal growth, seeing her try to figure out, living, surviving, struggling, having a job that makes her unhappy, dealing with people who make her unhappy and feel awful about herself, and also trying to get back into her passion, which is art, but still always feeling like it's not enough or it's not good enough. I wanted to find out what happens with that. Honestly, reading this book, it made me wish that there were actual paintings in it, because I wanted to see what she was creating. Like, I could kind of see it in my mind, but I wanted to see what she was actually making. I want to know what happens with Edie at the end of all this, because the way the book ends, like, what happens? What happens to Edie? I want to know what happens to Rebecca. I don't care about the husband. He can go away. But Akilah, what's going to happen to her? There's a moment in this book that is, she's already experienced something very traumatizing in her life, and now there's another traumatizing moment. What happens to Akilah? Is she going to be okay? Will Edie and Akilah know each other for the rest of Akilah's life? How will this affect Rebecca? Will this affect how she parents? Will she be a better parent? There's a moment where Edie makes a very obvious point to Rebecca, and she just doesn't get it. So I want to see, how does Rebecca grow? You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I really did like the book. I would absolutely read another book written by Raven Leilani. I would really want to see where else she's going to take other characters, and if she does another book like this, is she going to continue to do adult literary fiction? Will she do a fiction? Who knows? But I was definitely interested and intrigued, and I would definitely say this book is strange because there are moments in it that are awkward and make you cringe, but there's also moments that are extremely interesting and make you feel so invested in these characters, certain characters. Like I said, I don't care about the husband. He can fuck off. But yeah, in the end, this was actually a really good book. And a good way, I guess, to end my first half of August. Anyway, so yeah, so that was part 1. I have quite a few more books to talk about, because you know how in the second video I said I want to read volumes 1 through 5 of A Kami Ga Kill Zero, and the last 4 volumes that I have access to Demon Slayer. Yeah, I read all of those. That's 9 books right there. Then I read some more. So, this is a 2-parter. But yeah, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I think I did a much better job, I hope, than I did last time, but we shall see. So thanks, bye.
Bye.